There we go. See, you guys are on the ball even more than I am. It was more comfortable to have the lights down like that, but yeah, that looks way better. Oh my gosh, totally way better. Okay, so we're good. Thank you guys for noticing that. Beverly Adams just donated $10. No, I am not on Ozempic. 2012, David Wilcock was incredible information and knowledge. We're already at 882 concurrent viewers. And we've got $20 donation from Best Tim Wizards. Pretty much if you donate, unless you say something really trolly or crazy, I'll give you the shout out and you'll get to be part of the show. So the donations also really help us. Yeah, it's been quite a wild ride here, folks. We've had quite a wild ride. And never before have I needed to focus so much on the power of the positive. Oh my goodness, we had R.W. Phoenix donate $222. That is a huge gift to all of us. Keeps the show on the air. He says, thank you for all that you do. You are a bright light in a world gone astray. Peace and love. Thank you very much. And we're already up to 1,085 concurrent viewers. I wasn't sure what was going on. The views on our X post were a little low this week. I guess everybody's doing their holiday stuff. So I'm really glad that right off the rip in the first 5 minutes, we're already at over almost 1,100 viewers. So, anyway, yeah, it's a great time to be here. And there are so many assaults being made on your positivity right now. There is so much going on in the news that is so intense and so upsetting. We're going to talk about rumblings of World War III. We're going to talk about 3i Atlas. We're going to talk about the AI menace and how Australia just said that if you're 14 or under, you're no longer able to use social media. They believe that much of an effect on children. And then the next thing you know, right after they do that, there's this horrible shooting in Bondi Beach. We pray for the victims of both mass shootings last night and for their families and for all others affected by this. It's very sad right now, all this crazy stuff going on. But you know what? That's part of the game. And so Michigan is keeping up with your snowfall. Roger Zubarik just donated. He's one of our favorite guys. He says, thanks for being here again. He donated $20. Thank you, Roger, very much. Hi, what's going on? Well, a lot of stuff is going on. The world is definitely in a precarious place. And if you live in America, especially east of the Rockies, then you're going through the polar vortex phenomenon. I have had quite the week, you guys. Honestly, going through the snow and going through the cold and the wind. We had massive power outages. We're going to get through all that. 3 days without power. I had to go to bed in the middle of the night with, no power. How does the stream look, by the way? It looks to me like it's pretty weak. But you guys seeing it okay? Let's just hear what you're saying, because to me it looks very, very weak. I'm not sure why that's happening. You guys see it like it looks normal to you? Okay, looks good. Okay, great. So that's just my preview window. You guys aren't getting that fuzziness that I'm seeing in the preview window. Everything looks good. Okay. Oh my gosh. Missy O. Kiemi says, David, my son passed away unexpectedly yesterday. I'm devastated. I'm tuning in because I find your content comforting. We are very sorry. We pray for your son, Missy O. And anyway, so far so good. Somebody said the video is off a bit, but everybody else says it looks normal, looks okay. The stream is fine. Glad to hear that. It looks a little dark to me. Okay, fine, good. So yeah, this is definitely a time for us to activate the power of positive thinking. And we're going to have a thesis in this show. And the thesis is the idea that the universe promotes positivity, that's what it's built to do. It's actually built to be spring-loaded for your own ascension, for your own enlightenment. And we're going to talk about several different ways in which that shows up. It shows up on a DNA level. It shows up with the meditation effect, or the so-called Maharishi effect. And it shows up in the way that our lives are lived. So I want you right now with me to just close your eyes. Oh, we had a donation. Little Tiny Joe won. Hi, David. Inner peace to you and us all. Namaste. $50 donation. Woo! Close your eyes a little bit. And let's just focus on the moment of stillness. The moment of positivity that comes to us when we recognize how blessed we are to be here today, that we have this family gathers together on Sundays. Let's just focus on the love that we all share. Focus on the harmony that is possible with the open heart, the relaxed mind, and just knowing how wonderful it is to be here today, that we're all part of this grand cosmic awakening that's taking place on Earth. And we're grateful to be here. We're grateful to have this time to share, to be together. Let's not waste it. Enjoy that moment. Enjoy that stillness. And recognize the peace that is already within you, the oasis of comfort that is waiting to be discovered as you tune deeply within and find that place of stillness within you, that center of peace. The power of positivity is not a joke. We are going to explore that today. And feel that positivity right now. Because these are the rules of the universe. As you do this, as you tune into the positivity, you are actualizing it in real time. You are making it a part of yourself like never before. You tune in, you feel that grace, you feel that warmth, you feel that resonance. And it's so nice. So nice to simply be in the now, to be a part of what we're doing here together today. And so it is. Amen. Can you guys hear this okay? Yes, everybody seems to be able to hear it. Everything looks good on my gauges over here. So yes, let's come on back. Once you see the other side of the veil, you can't unsee it. It says Wade Woodruff. Gerald Melby says, David, you are an amazing person. Thank you for so much inspiration. Oh my goodness. LCVK3GD donated $200 and says, Merry Christmas. That is so awesome. Rocking my new Pulsetto vagus nerve stimulator I got about an hour ago. Do I really want to know what? I don't know exactly what that means. I hope it's clean, but anyway. Okay, well, rock the nerve stimulator. We're at 1,460 concurrent viewers right off the rip. That is amazing. Thank you guys for showing up. We are going to do some Law of One today. I don't have any new Michael prophecies yet. We got really messed up with all the craziness that's going on. But I want you to be clear about the fact that positivity is something that the universe is built to endorse. We are not stuck in a cause and effect universe where we're no longer able to be protected. And guys, again, thank you so much for the donations. Keep those donations coming. It really makes a huge difference for us here on the show. It helps me pay the bills. We're already almost at $550, and we're only a few minutes in, so that is fantastic. Anything you can do to help me out there is really great. Hit the thumbs up for David. He is always at risk for his life. Come on, man. That's right. Scarlet Fire says great connection. So yes, this is definitely risky. I talk about things that are edgy and controversial, but what's so controversial about being positive? Well, there are forces that don't want you to feel that way. And Sunny Skies, thank you for dropping that. You can also, anybody that wants to, can certainly use that link. And that is something that goes 100% over to our side. But either way is fine. We love it if you do anything. So thank you very much. Arizona is having beautiful weather right now, says Chris Kringle. Well, it wasn't that way here. And again, the power of positivity is a very important concept because I'm going to make an argument that the universe is designed this way on a holographic quantum level. That at the quantum level itself, the universe is conspiring to give you positive feedback when you do positive things. And this is also going to tie into the hero's journey. It's going to tie into the idea of the hero's journey being a cosmic DNA blueprint that we all have for soul evolution. And so as you go through those changes in yourself, as you go through these awakenings, and you learn more and more about who you really are, you are on that hero's journey. You are the awakening hero, having this quest that defines your life. We had another donation, Snort 5203. And I know the number is just being assigned to everybody now at the end for the most part. Hopefully we'll have a wonderful holiday and an even better new year. And then he said the second thing again. So thank you very much, Snort. And Sunny Skies says, Snort, thank you. You are always so generous. Nothing can stop what is coming, says Kick Dreaming. As you sow, so shall you reap. And Audio just donated and said, will Audi, BMW, Volkswagen, GM eventually buy or be given patents for anti-gravity? I do believe so. I think we're going to get to that point sooner than you think. And the world is definitely going in a new direction. So Midnight Mark is on it. Woo! It was already held for review. And so, boom, we got that. Thank you, Midnight Mark. We have great moderators here. It's almost impossible now for people to troll me on the show, and it's free, and I really needed that. So thank you guys very much. David Jones says, I love you more than Elvis. I've been watching for decades. All right, so we're at 1,700 viewers now. It's cranking up really fast. It is not true that if you give positive, you get positivity. You get what you are ready for. Life in the universe gives you what you're ready for, says Cody Alonso. Well, that's a belief, and I, have different beliefs. I believe that by intending, using the power of your intention and focusing on the positive, even when it doesn't seem likely that the positive is going to happen, you can still turn things around. And that's so important because, again, your senses are under assault right now. I get that. It's a very hard time to be alive. Jacob Schurer says, I have lived many lifetimes and gained many experiences. He donated. Sunflower Heart donated, says, Merry Christmas. That's right. Jeshua is here. We love you, dear Jeshua, says Healing Through Energy. Ross Feinstein says, let's just be clear. Vagus nerve stimulation is incredibly beneficial. LOL. David, you have to look it up. Okay, I'm not letting this go, he says. All right. Yes, we are going to be talking about the Alliance to some degree today and what they're up to, so that's definitely part of the show. Master Kenobi, David, I believe we can tap into different timelines, learning to regulate our vibes. May the Force be with us. That's right. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, David Savage says that today is Feast of St. John of the Cross. Yeah, he's an important figure. He was the one that really debuted the concept of pure consciousness that is related to the meditation effect. Doctor of the Church and patron saint of mystics, contemplatives, and Spanish poets, and Roasted Chestnuts Day, and Christmas Bird Count Week. Okay. Charlie Winter donated, says, how close do you think med beds are to, we got all these coming in here for public use, stay safe in the mountains. Yeah, we got more wind coming up this week, and it's scary as hell. But I think med beds are very close. I think we're definitely going to get a lot more things. Jacob Schurer says, skills and much wisdom. JDub7717 donated as well. They are just flying in, folks, so thank you very much. Thank you very much for supporting this work. Love you, David. God bless you. All right. I don't want you to feel afraid. I know there's a lot of things out there that are competing for you and for your attention that way, and that's something we don't want to keep on experiencing. We want to get beyond the sense of limitation. When you actualize the power of the positive, everything starts to change. So first of all, I want to say thank you so much for being here with me today. It really means the world to me that you showed up and that you're part of our chat here. Beverly Adams says, we are the med beds. Wonderful, wonderful. Love. Angel number 1111 says Wade Woodruff. I just pulled a crystal out behind my ear like you had in your eye, says Jason Brain. Are there numbers behind my name, says Andrea Skolov. Yes, everybody's getting numbers now. So yes, the point is there's a lot of really cool stuff going on. I don't want you to lose track of that because you can get easily distracted. So thank you so much for being here with me today. I genuinely appreciate your trust, love, and support. The world has never been scarier than it is now. That's something that I think is, we got rumblings of World War III. We're going to talk about that a little bit, talk about all these things. And it's also happening on the personal level for everybody. We're getting assaulted on the personal level in many different ways. And that can be very challenging. So in these times, remember the power of the present moment. Remember to tune into your center. Remember to focus on the power of the positive. Because again, nobody else is going to do this for you necessarily. You can't guarantee that the people around you are going to feel positively. They may get captivated by negativity, and it's going to be up to you to be the inspiration to others. It's going to be up to you to raise the vibration, to lift people, to elevate them into a higher consciousness. David, does this chaos attack us physically? It can. I mean, I think it's a physical attack when you're getting all this cold weather, and so many people in the eastern part of the United States are going through incredibly cold weather right now. It's like, wow. So it's a big challenge to stay positive, and I get that. But when you learn how to do that, when you learn how to stay positive, you're actually harnessing the power of the universe. The universe itself has, on the very energetic level, the ability and the imprimatur, the legal right, the legal stamp to actually be a positive force in your life. You activate trust, you activate faith by believing in this power, by using this power for your own benefit. And once you do that, man, everything starts to open up. So this is not a joke. This is really the way it works. The universe is conspiring for your own higher good. And let's just tune into that for a second. Let's just relax a little bit and feel better about the fact that, yes, this is what's happening. We are all going in a positive direction. And you may not always be able to see that, but it is happening. So I want you to really tune into that and just give yourself that gift of the trust that comes from knowing who and what you are. Because I'll tell you what, it makes a big, big difference, everybody. It really, really does. Stephen Brixey just donated, said they may have your name and number, but they still cannot stop what is coming. That's right. There was this, Linda Kiesling says there's a central voice in all people. Stay close to its positive message. Absolutely. So here right now also donated. Sorry, I missed that one. Don't be scared, be prepared, said Mama Sankili. All right. Jesus said he will do all that he did and more, says Beverly Adams. God, please protect David. Tap the like button. That's right. You don't have to smash it. You can just tap it lightly. That'll work good too. You know, whatever works for you, we're happy to see that. Okay, here's another one. Donation right there. Saying, when do you think 47 will disclose? 2027, hopefully long before then. And then Rob Lee, 7411, says, 33 for thee. All right. Thank you guys very, very much for that. We really appreciate it. Ashtara says, blessed are the peacemakers. We shall inherit sacred Mother Earth. That's right, absolutely. Thank you very much. Ray Burt says, tippity tap. So anyway, I'm very happy to be here because this is a time where I get to share with you stuff that I already know is true. I don't have to believe this stuff. I know that the positive will work out. I know that things are going to work out. I have had a test of faith, my friends, like you cannot imagine. This past 2 weeks before the last couple of days, we had the worst wind we've ever had up here, this latest polar vortex. It took a while. It didn't hit us right away. How do you stay positive? We'll get to that, Knuckles Deep, but let's just focus on this. So it took me a while to get there, everybody. It wasn't easy. I do apologize about missing last week's show, but this was a profound, life-changing initiation. It absolutely was. So Charlie Winter just donated again, and Echo 2000 also donated. She says, one person holding the space of Christ consciousness is more powerful than hundreds of negative minds. What better time than at Christmas? Love you, David. That's right. And congratulations on Stavati's new division. That's great news, says Echo 2000. That's right. David, earplugs. Well, yeah, you definitely wear earplugs, but this is way beyond. Oh, here right now, one also donated. Your first super chat on a live stream. Thank you very much. We're already at almost $725. So it's coming in. That's good. We really need your help. So again, all those donations are blessings to me and to this work beyond anything you can imagine. Mystifying Mark says, hello, David Wilcock. All right. Hi, David. I always look for your show. I love the good vibes I get from you, regardless of the subject. Yeah, so if the internet and power goes down, don't forget to fill the bathtub. Good advice from David. $5 coming in. It's good for your help. Geraldine Levy donated 100 NOKs and says, it is time and it is now. All right. So yes, I had quite the initiation, you guys. This was a wild, wild situation that I just went through with the weather. I'll tell you a little bit more about it. Much of America is enduring polar vortex phenomena. This was the most intense wind we ever had here in my life. The whole sequence dragged on for about 2 weeks, and it was an ordeal, a profound ordeal, unlike anything I've ever been through before. I can honestly say that this has been a life-changing series of events. We had 2 weeks in a row of strong winds almost every day, so sadly I was in no position to do a show last week. But we still have 2,200 of you that have showed up already within the first 20 minutes, so I'm glad that you guys are looking around and seeing if I'm on the air and checking, because apparently, some people were saying they didn't get any notification or whatever. That's fine. We're here now. Everything is good. And anyway, we're happy to be around, and it's all part of the process. Atmospheric rivers are incoming. New Orleans is sinking, and I don't know how to swim. So yeah, there was a lot of challenges to my faith, a lot of challenges to my ability to just stay focused and positive. Beverly Adams said she donated, if you put up a live chat on the days you can't do a show, we can still donate to you and communicate with the rest of the Sunday family until we see you next time. That is an interesting idea. I'm not quite sure how to do that, but I'll look into that. You look good, says Julia. Grow your hair back, David. Well, we already got a lot of hair, but lots of interesting things are going on here. So anyway, I was under so much assault, I was in no position to do a show. We had peaks of 37-mile-an-hour average winds as of the previous Friday night, the Friday before last Friday. That was already happening. That is just outrageous, because at that speed already you can get gusts of 70 to 80-mile-an-hour winds, which is really already up in the hurricane range. But a hurricane typically blows through fairly quickly. These winds lasted for days. So this was very, very intense. And unfortunately, we're getting more of it this coming week. It's not going to be as bad as it was, but we are going up to 35 again. So I'm really not that excited about that at all. But you know what? You just stay positive, you stay focused. But I'm going to get into the story about what happened to me, and you're going to hear how wild this was. And Audio donated, and he says right there, "You are the Christ consciousness. We are all equals to Jesus." That was his message. "I am. You are God. Thou shalt not have any other gods before me." I do agree. I mean, it's a fantastic thing when you can activate your own inner Christ and recognize that universal energy is available to you. That positive, loving force is what he was all about. He was teaching us how to be more loving, how to be more peaceful, how to be more positive. "David, you are a dude and we always show up," says Laura Smith. Wow, I was going to say that's tropical storm winds. You're darn right. I mean, we had so many trees come down. Once it got up into the 40 range and 45, it even was going up above 45 at times, where the average wind speed got even higher than that. It was so freaking crazy. It was high 20s on Friday, wind into Saturday. I'm going to show you the forecast. And we also had snowfall on Saturday. So this was the first time where I really knew we were in trouble. You can see right there, 37 miles an hour by 11 p.m. as the snow started to come down. That was scary as hell to me to see that on there. I just could not believe it. So that Saturday, I had to go out there, because that's why I didn't have a show, is I had to go out there and shovel in high wind for safety. And then, when you're out there shoveling in the snow, man, it's blowing in your face. You got snow blowing in your face. It's very intense. But I found it curiously liberating. It's like there's something about going into that struggle against the elements and getting all dressed up and having your warm clothes on and fighting for your survival. It actually... I mean, it's you try to make the best of it when it's so intense. But yeah, it's not going to be the last time this happens. I mean, we're definitely going through some really crazy stuff here. So I expect that this is going to continue and continue and continue. And it's very intense, I have to say. Savantically Eidetic says, "I'm going to be honest, I've been through the same experience David is coming out of. He's been a great friend unknowingly." All right. "David, you are so lucky to have a solid house. Your logs are tough." Well, yeah, they are, but they weren't tough enough to stop, power outages. If the trees come down, they knock down your power lines, then you're stuck. And so I ended up going through quite a test of faith. Gene Novacek says, "Don't go out and shovel in high winds. Set up windbreaks and keep areas clear." Well, if you still got power, it's okay to go outside. That's what I've been doing. So, you know, it's just very intense. And so I had quite the challenge here. The winds started reaching average highs of 45 miles an hour. That's the average. That's not the surges on Monday and Tuesday, which led to surges of 80 to 90 miles per hour. And this was going on for days at a time, hours at a time, both day and night, which culminated in 3 days of blackouts. And my God, you know, when the wind is that high, you don't even really want to make a fire, even if you could, because you get backdraft and all this smoke backs into the house. So even if you can get the fire to go, you don't really want to. And at the same time, it was so super intense because just the level of noise volume, even with earplugs in, it's crazy. And the wind blows right through the cracks in the logs so that the house starts to get cold. You can't keep the house warm enough. It's a pretty intense situation. And, you know, thank you, Mark. That is awesome. And I totally agree on your decision on that one. David needs to move to Arizona, says Project Skyfalls. Yes, but Arizona's hot in the summer, so, you know, everybody's got their own challenges. There's different challenges. But yes, this climate around here where I live now is changing. It's getting more difficult to live here. It's a good idea to check your generator, make sure it will start. You have enough gas to keep it running for several days. Well, that's right. Going outside maintains your body thermal energy regulation, increases your efficiency for being in cold weather. It says savantically eidetic, and I agree with that. So yeah, there's a lot of good things going on here. And thank you again. The moderators are right on it. And I really appreciate your help there for that. It's just almost impossible for trolls to have a chance anymore, and that's good. So, yeah, dude, this is nothing I would wish on my worst enemy. Going through what I went through was so intense. It was so horrific. 3 days of blackouts, which meant that I didn't have a fire. I had no power. I had no heat in the house, and the house ended up cooling off. Now, the logs hold heat for a while. They're really pretty good with radiant heat, you know, because they're so large. They store a lot of radiant heat, but eventually they don't. Eventually they don't have any heat in them anymore, and it becomes a very intense situation. So, wow, that really got me to focus on the power of the positive, because the power company keeps telling you that in less than 2 hours they're going to turn the lights back on, and then they keep delaying it, and it got delayed over and over again. And so you go back to a place of just total faith. The faith, you pray that this is going to work out. We had another donation here. Maggie 192, sending you so much love and light. Be at peace in the light of everlasting love. Thank you very much. Moss Feinstein says, my favorite health drink lately, I call it the Carl McGeezer Mate Mud Latte. It's Earl Grey, matcha, and Shilajit with coconut milk. That's great. Thank you very much. Yeah, I don't really have anywhere else to go. I have to stay in this house for the winter. So whatever these kind of things are that are happening, you know, hopefully it's natural phenomena. Hopefully that's all it is. But even still, man, we're going through earth changes, and it's ramping up, and it's making it more challenging across the board. So this is not for the weak. This really changed my life. It brought me to a very deep place of trauma. In some ways, I still am recovering from it, but I said, you know what? Today is good. We got sunlight outside. I want to make a good show for you guys and get out here on the air and celebrate the positive, because, you know, any moment that you can be in that light, in that positivity, in that love is a good moment. It's a time to be grateful. It's a time to be happy that you're alive and not just stuck in this horrible negativity all the time. Oh my gosh. Vacapalo said, in 2017, my family in Puerto Rico had no power for 8 months. Wow. That's insane. That's really, really insane. Linda Kiesling says, channel your inner Viking. It definitely was something like that. Definitely was along those lines of what I had to do here. But 3 days of blackouts, man, that is no freaking joke. It was so intense, you guys. I just can't even tell you the level of... And so it came back after 2 days. But, you know, so I was able to rebuild some radiant heat in the house, thank God. And they did a good job getting the power back on. I mean, regardless of what happens to us, the power company's pretty good about getting it turned back on. So I don't want to be a hater or anything. I mean, they did a fine job, but wow, man, it was so scary and so stressful, and you really just start to be, you have to believe in the positive. And in some ways, you have to kind of, you have to push through a negativity that is inside you that just doesn't want to be ignored. The negative says, oh my God, you should be freaking out. There's somebody was telling me about research that's been done with people that are in these kind of survival situations, and it's so important that you stay positive. It's so important that you talk your way through it. That's right. MME Studio says, call on God, David. God is not shy. Boots on the ground crew member here. For God, I see music in colors. Why risk living your life in peril? Move to sunny free Florida and visit the cold stuff by chance. Well, then you have hurricanes. But anyway, it's so intense to go through this. And again, this coming week, we have more high winds. We have 4 days in a row of high winds coming up again, starting on Tuesday. So I got today to do this show with you guys and enjoy that. I'm sharing this time with you. I'm not taking a vacation or a day off. I got tomorrow to try to recover from doing the show today. And then Tuesday, I'm right back in it again. Yes, it does remind you of being on a sailboat. It's very, very intense. And it's not easy to go through this and to live with a positive attitude in the midst of it. It really does take its toll on you. So anyway, thankfully, the real power outages didn't start until Tuesday in my area. And this is what the wind forecast looked like. It only actually showed up as 4 days, or five, well, it was 5 days. Actually, no, it was 6 days, because by the time I took this picture, we already had been through the preceding 2 days of wind already. So this was literally a 6-day bout of wind that just did not want to stop for 6 frickin' days, man. It just, and I learned after a while not to even worry about the earplugs. I just kept them out of my ears. You're just hearing this all the time. It's so insane. I wish that it hadn't happened to me, honestly, but what can you do? I mean, once you're in it, you got to get through it, and you got to just live your life. You got to find a way to try to stay positive. So yeah, that's what it looked like on the forecast. And you'll see the one I got coming up doesn't look a whole lot different than this. I mean, this is what we're in right now, folks. It's just one crazy situation like this after another. I didn't take as many pictures of wind forecasts as I could have, because honestly, I was just mostly thinking about survival, not documentation. But as the winds got really up there, we were dealing with hurricane force winds, gusts of 80 to 90 miles an hour. And you have to basically stay in bed. It's better to just try to stay in bed and not get too focused and not get too hung up on what's really happening. So you stay in bed, you try to camp out a little bit, try to say, okay, the universe is not allowing me to do anything else. When you get wind like this, you can't really do anything with your life. You're not really actualizing your potential in any other way. You're not able to get work done. You're not able to, enjoy anything. You're just basically surviving, even if there is power. Somebody trolled me. You're bored about the wind chatter. Please move on. Okay, we'll get that. We'll get through it pretty quick here. Thank you for that. Anyway, somebody might want to. It's not really a moderable comment, but it was, borderline. But you're entitled to be bored. If you, thank you for your honesty. But I'll tell you, the weather is victimizing us. Our mindsets are. We do art during windstorms and we play music. Well, that's good. And then that's the point. By focusing on the positive, you try to find things that you can do, find things that you can enjoy. So we lost power on Tuesday morning, 8:25 a.m. And we had another donation come in. I went through an entire night with no electricity or heat, and I kept my refrigerator going with EF Delta batteries, which was pretty incredible. These are solar-powered batteries, and if I can't get the sun going, then sometimes I'll make sure they're charged with wall current. But they actually kept my refrigerator going throughout the whole entire blackout. I saved my food. That was incredible. Tina Nierenberg donated $100. Thank you very much. It says propane body heater for inside only, or propane buddy heater for inside only in case of a full shutdown. I don't have anything like that, but I guess other people do. Yep. Oh, Elisa Taylor says, we love your interactions. Disregard those who are in such a hurry. That's right. Yeah, and you want to watch out for propane, as Ross Feinstein is saying. No propane inside. The fumes can be really bad for you. Holy crapola, 3 days without power up there alone. Dude, you are a friggin' survivor. Respect, respect. This is Intent Recordings. You are absolutely right. It was so intense. And all I can tell you is that I am changed forever as a result of it. It has never, be aware of deadfall branches and high winds as you're walking through the woods. Please be safe. Yep, I definitely am careful about that. You gotta, if you're gonna walk in the woods during high winds, you gotta really be aware of that, absolutely. We did have several trees fall down on my property. So I somehow managed to keep my refrigerator going. My groceries actually survived. As I told you, I did not trust that it was safe to use the fireplace. Solopoly says, do you still use ratfish oil? You talked about it with Pete Peterson. I haven't in a long time, but it's not to say that it isn't good for you. And we're thinking about possibly doing something with that again. David, you need a dog for a companion, says Poodle Man. Well, I might get another one at some point, but again, right for now, I'm just focused on my own survival. Mr. Tie-Dye says, be the change you wish to see in the world. And donate $20. Thank you very much. What brand of batteries did you charge your fridge with? Says DCMKV. Again, that was the EF Delta, and they worked really, really well. Do you have ranchers up there or various farms? Yes, we do. And high winds are part of the Front Range in Colorado Springs where I live. I've been here all my life. It's part of what it is. I know, it's just very intense. Did you have running water? Well, that was another thing. Thank you for talking about that. I had, first of all, I did not trust it was safe to use the fireplace. I brought in wood from outside that was still drying, was still wet, which means it's going to create smoke. I slept in winter clothes and 2 base layers. I actually ended up wearing slippers and ski pants into my bed under the covers, and I had 2 comforters on top of me plus a wool blanket. And it was very intense. It took a very intense amount of focus and energy to get through this and to feel positive. And I strongly considered evacuating, but I had to stay with the house again because of the idea of, what are we going to do if the pipes freeze? You don't want to have that happen. So I was very, very grateful that we saved our pipes. That didn't happen. Stephen Miano donated here, and he says, please do a deep dive on XRP cryptocurrency. Spoiler, evidence of time travel involved. That's pretty funny. John Carter donated $50. Thank you very much. Wow. Really glad to hear that. And Sunny Skies put up another link for you if you'd like to use that. That's really great. And I do appreciate that very much. Couldn't you have stored your food outside? Well, and somebody's saying, no XRP, no XRP. I don't know. It's up to you guys what you want to do there. But it's bad stuff they're doing on those ranches. I won't get into it. Okay, somebody already. Anyway, did you have running water? We had it for a little while, but again, the running water relies on a battery. The battery doesn't last very long. And in order to stop your pipes from freezing, you have to run a drip through them. That's one of the things I learned about. We had to go through these elaborate measures to avoid the pipes from freezing. So you turn on the taps, but then the battery only has about 1/3 of a bathtub full of water that it'll run that way. So eventually all the water ran out, and there's no refilling the tank, which means that my pipes were empty. So now I'm in the point where I'm actually peeing, standing up again, peeing into the sink, and then dumping water into it with a water bottle. That's about all you can do because you can't flush the toilet. And if you want to flush the toilet, I filled up 2 5-gallon jugs of water. So if you have to go number 2, then you use the toilet, and then you have to, flush it and then refill it with water out of your 5-gallon jug, man. It was so intense. And thankfully, they seem to be able to get the power back on within a reasonable time. But it was so bad, dude. I just can't even explain how intense this was. Charlie Winter says, it's hard living up here. She donated. I know because I'm from Michigan. I lived in the country for years with my kids. We had the same issues. We're in South Texas now. We're much happier. Stay warm, brother. All right. Yes, An empty jar is another way to go. If you want to urinate, that's another thing you can do. It's just that my preference is to use the sink. But, you know, this is an emergency situation. You figure out what you're going to do and you make it happen. We had 2 more donations. We had Cat's Meow and we have Vacapalo. You're my brother from another mother. We even have matching lamps. Scarlet Fire says, you are the new Super Dave. Michael Reynolds, Earthship's concept of houses is Vacapalo. Yep, you're a drain on your plumbing system. Well, Prince Royal says, I can only imagine how Colin McGeezer would survive alone in a cabin in the woods in winter. Crikey, mate, crikey. David, that is awful. I moved from Colorado after 7 years. I do not miss the snow, says Davina St. Clair. Dude, it was so crazy. You know, and I was really scared. But cat litter sand could be a great solution. There's certain ways in which you do that for, you know, where the F is your wood-burning stove. Well, again, I had wet wood, and I was also worried about a potential chimney fire because I haven't had the chimney cleaned in a while, and I don't know if it's safe to use the fireplace. I mean, it should be, but there were several reasons why I didn't want to do it. Yes, we all miss Gurley. It was really nice having Gurley, but Gurley's not with us anymore. I don't know why Michael Reiter is saying the text is dim, but yeah. David, you should look into a composting toilet. Well, no, we're lying. What am I lying through my teeth about? There's nothing I'm lying about. This is exactly what happened. And I filmed some of it. I didn't put it all out there, but thank you, Linda Kiesling, for the moderation there. This is exactly what happened to me. This is not a joke. This is not a lie. I'm not trying to get clicks. Some people wanted me to move on, but I mean, you know, I'm telling you what really happened. Cedar wood burns clean, no pine in the fireplace. Yeah, that's what I've heard, that pine creates pitch. Well, you have half pine and half oak, and so there is pine, and that's why part of the problem is we got to be careful about the chimney. And I haven't even had time to get the chimney cleaned yet, and now we got another one coming up again. And hopefully it's not going to be as bad as the last one was. It doesn't look like it right now, but it's really depressing, I have to say. P. Payun just donated and says, thank you for the teachings. We're still holding true, around 2,500 viewers. Your well needs electricity to work, thus your toilet does not work. Well, no, actually, the toilet dumps into the septic system, and the septic tank just requires the water to roll down the pipe. And if you dump water into the toilet out of a jug, then you can use your toilet. So that's what I'm talking about. And it was good. Anyway, yeah, it was so intense. It scares me just thinking about it. The pipes were empty, but that was good because once there was no water in the pipes, it means that the water is not going to freeze and expand and crack them. So we didn't have any pipes go bad, but I was very concerned about that as well. And again, you got to just focus on the positive. You got to just focus on staying alive, staying positive. You talk to yourself. I also managed, thanks to my various electronic backup batteries, to keep my phone charged so I could talk to a couple friends of mine. Sorry your life is crappy and depressing, but mine isn't. Well, you know, this is something that if you ever go through something like this, and I hope you can learn some good things from this. I didn't use candles. I focused on flashlights, lanterns, and, you know, I kept myself alive. That was the important part. The sense of jeopardy and fear was incredibly profound. The inside of the house got as cold as the outside temperature, about 37 degrees. Somehow I managed to survive all of this. I wore winter clothes inside the house. Again, staying calm and focusing on the positive is very important. Talking your way through each step out loud is also helpful. That's one of the things I'd heard from people talking about survival. And I actually enjoyed spending large amounts of time in bed. And then during the day, one of the things I discovered was that by actually opening the drapes, even though you have no power, you open the drapes, you allow the sunlight to shine through the window if you have it, whenever you do have it. And that starts immediately warming up the house, and we got a lot warmer that way. Yep, thanks for all the positivity. Glad you're still alive. Don't eat, don't do much sleep, read your books during the daytime. Yes. Please move to a safer place. Water in the tub can help your toilet keep working. That's right. Again, instead of doing the tub, I did it with jugs, 5-gallon jugs that were empty. But everyone here at the same time type trolls, we do not consent. David, I heard 3i Atlas will show itself on the 19th of the month. I'm curious about that. I don't know. I haven't heard anything like that exactly, but we'll find out. Anyway, very intense experiences that I went through. And the sunlight is another thing. It's paradoxical, but yes, just that solar energy coming through the windows really works. Wednesday, 4:30 p.m., finally, the day after it started, after all those hours, man, it was so crazy. The power finally came back on at 4:30 in the afternoon. Whew. It was so crazy, man. The amount of time that we were down was just unbelievable. So when the power came back on, I had a huge epiphany. I was so happy. We were running the heat, getting the house warmed up, and I had an epiphany about the power of the positive. And I equated it to the stretching of the body. So I've been talking to my friends on the phone. One of my two friends I was talking to the most was Jude, and he was telling me about how he's got to do his hip stretches every day, and if he doesn't keep up with his hip stretches, then he can't even walk properly. His body is going to start to decompose. So and he was saying, if you don't stretch your muscles, especially we're both over 50 now, which technically is a type of senior, your muscles will become brittle. It's like rubber fatigue. If you see a fatigued rubber band, it'll start to crack and get brittle. Well, that's what will happen to your muscles eventually. So it's very important to stretch everything out and keep up with that. You can't let it go. You can't ignore it. And so I realized that this is another mind-body experience that we can analogize with, because if you don't focus on the negative, if you don't focus on the positive, rather, then your soul starts to atrophy. You create more negativity. So just in the same way that, like, you have your muscles going into atrophy from lack of use, if you don't use your positive thinking, if you don't focus on that and strengthen that muscle, if you will, then it's going to not work for you. It's going to crap out on you. And so this actually, to me, felt like a pretty big realization. The connection between positivity, the connection between how you're feeling in your soul, and then what you're doing with yourself, with your stretching, with your physical body. And it also can be analogized with keeping a clean house as well. And remember, the law of one talks about how demonic negative spirits can live in messy areas. They like that, and they like atrophied tissue. So both of those things were very interesting to realize. I felt it. I felt one coming in, and it was there. So there we go. We have a donation for $100. Vicky Venus Estara says, $100, get your chimney cleaned. Thank you very much, and I really appreciate it, and we will go ahead and make that happen. Let's see what we're up to so far. We're already at $1,100 and rising, and let's hope we can get to $2,000 at least. That would be great. We did that last week. We actually made it up to, I forget what it was like 2,400 or something like that, but it was incredible. So thank you guys so much for participating. Really, really love it when you give us donations. It helps me so much. So I used to be positive, then I got tired of things are happening, things are getting better, then nothing. Tired of hearing this BS. They're really dragging this out, aren't they? I don't know. I do believe that it works. The positive thinking is what kept me alive through this. I was strongly thinking about evacuating, going to a hotel, but then I knew I wouldn't be able to stay here to fight for my pipes. And so I just said, you know what? I'm going to get through this. I'm going to get through this crazy situation. A whole night without power. They told us already they weren't going to turn it on until the following morning. They didn't even estimate that they were going to turn it on during the night. They just left behind whatever they were leaving behind, and it was wow. Beverly Adams says, I concur on the stretching. As a 61-year-old deep tissue massage therapist who can bend into a pretzel, keep stretching and getting massages. Yes, I totally agree. I'm sure many here would love to keep you warm. Donation from Echo 2000. That's right. You cuddle up together. Your body heat works together. It was very intense. Sorry you had such a close call with survival, says David of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, it was very, very intense. Laura says, David, you need a good dog and a good homesteading-minded woman. Don't worry, I'm not offering. I'm much too old for you. Laughter. Ross Feinstein says, Helene was intense, days without power. Thank God, much less than most around us. But with my health issues, it was terrifying. Thankfully, because of you, David, we were prepped to the max. That's really cool. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I'm glad that I have a positive effect on people. Gene Novacek says, I love it. Fight for your pipes. Absolutely. That's what I did. So, and man, Midnight Mark, you are on it right away. Nobody even saw that one, but I did. So anyway, thank you, everybody. And we're really glad that, I'm really glad to be alive, I got to say. So all these other things are happening in the world. Negative entities, again, live in messy areas and atrophied tissue. So it really is an analogy, this beautiful epiphany I had that that it's a discipline to focus on the positive. And somehow, despite all odds and despite every possibility to be afraid and to think terrible things were going to happen, I pushed through it and I made it into something that actually worked for me. It was pretty amazing. And we're doing good stuff on the planet. We're doing good stuff here. Our company is doing just fine. We have some great things that are getting ready to happen very soon, actually. So let's just hope that they do. That's another gripping drama that is now coming to fruition in a way that seems to be very positive. What year and model is your Stratocaster? I'm not really sure, but it is a beautiful blue color. You don't usually get to see that, but it does have a beautiful blue starburst kind of color to it. Oh my God. Clay Madgeson says, 21 days without power after Hurricane Helene last year. Positive thinking kept us going. Even on days we were told it would be another 4 to 8 weeks, that same day, the power miraculously came back on. That is wild, dude. Wow. Just realized I hadn't zipped up my fly. I've had done the whole show up until now with my fly unzipped, but you didn't know that. I did. I did just now. Anyway, toe warmers. Where is the airplane? Okay, well, thank you, Midnight Mark. Yeah, we have, the company is doing fine. There's some really cool stuff going on that we'll be able to talk about as time goes on. But yeah, there's 3 or 4 really great things happening now that are all very high level potentials for us, and I think we're going to be fine. You will look back and be proud of how you survived 3 days of darkness, says Dina Potrabenko. Yeah, I have to say it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to get through this and survive. It felt very exciting at first. Despite the dangers, everything worked out. I never gave up. I never stopped fighting. I stayed calm and I kept busy. The whole thing was very surreal and went on for hours on end. On Wednesday night, I rebuilt the radiant heat profile in the house. I was running the subfloor heating and all the electric heaters on full blast. And then when it really got tough, you guys, and wow, it was 12:55 as I say that, as it really got tough. Thank you, Midnight Mark, again. He is the ultimate moderator. But you're all good. We have several great moderators here. And I was also doing the sponge bath. You obviously can't do a regular shower or anything, so I noticed that the area behind my ears is what stinks the most. So I would wash that area really heavily and then, hit my hair with a washcloth. It was so intense. I still have, residual trauma thinking about it. So I rebuilt the radiant heat profile knowing that it could happen again. And then sure enough, Thursday morning, once again, 10:47 a.m., there was a big loud thumping noise, and all of a sudden the power goes off again. And by this point, I was so tired of fighting, it was just ridiculous. And so they tell us that the power is going to be back on at 12:30. And then when we got to that point, they tell us the power is going to be back on at 2:30. The estimates keep extending by once every 2 hours. Then they told us 4:30. The power didn't actually come back on until 5:15 p.m., or it might have been 4 o'clock. It said it was going to be back on at 4 o'clock. So I'm checking this website because I, again, have my backup batteries. So I've got all the backup power is in place. I can charge my phones. I can keep the refrigerator going, keep the laptop going, and I can stay online because I have a breakaway box. I mean, dude, it was just insane. You can use your car as a generator for electricity. It's cheaper than a generator that you hardly ever use. Damn, Mark, you're too quick, says Ross Feinstein. I guess Mark's the one that gets everything first. But anyway, let's see what that one was. Yeah, they're not happy. They're not happy about how well moderated we are now. But anyway, I don't know about that. Anyway, it's pretty insane. Ross says he can't even see the comments. Mark's already gotten them if they need to be moderated. So yeah, I took sponge baths, and I would do my whole body, but you have to only take off parts of your clothing at a time because it's so cold in the house that you got to, keep other parts of your body clothed. So you wash your armpits, you wash your chest, you rinse it out. So those jugs of water that I had really came in handy for that. And you also got to make sure that you're washing your feet, that you wash in between your toes. Because again, you don't want to get athlete's foot. If you wear socks for more than a day, you start to get athlete's foot. It was very intense. So I guess Mark is kind of grabbing all the moderation duties because he's the fastest one. David, this seems like God is pulling out many energetics from you. I feel this is for all of us. Yeah, I mean, it's an initiation. When you go through initiation like this, it changes you on a fundamental level. You're growing as a soul. You're expanding into a new definition of what it means to be yourself. Oh, wow. In Hong Kong, we had back-to-back infernos weeks ago, 7 high-rise fire building, lots of casualties, subway fires, yesterday an apartment fire too. Clean your feet. Yep. Yeah, it's important. You don't want to have anything, you don't want to have wet socks. You got to make sure that your socks stay dry, and that's really important. So again, it's not a pity part. There, somebody can donate that one. You can moderate that one if you want to. I'm not pitying myself, though. I will say that. I'm just showing you guys what I went through and that I stayed here. I didn't leave. I didn't evacuate to go to a warm hotel. I actually gutted it out and focused on the positive as much as I could. There we go. My Midnight Mark's finally letting some other people take care of some stuff. Anyway, so finally, after they told us it would come back on at 4 o'clock, it came back on at 5:30. And I was so excited. I was on the phone with my friend when it finally happened. But by that point, I was just completely exhausted from this fight. And so once again, we have high winds coming up this coming week, Tuesday through Friday, but the temperatures are warmer. So this is what the forecast looks right now for this coming week, as of last night when I took a picture of it. But again, none of those days of wind are going above like a 35, which the difference between 35 and 45 is definitely, it's not as extreme. So hopefully we'll be fine. But yeah, it's freaking crazy, man. I'm not really looking forward to it. I'm doing my best to learn to adapt to it. But the point is, there's no shame in feeling and experiencing fear. In other words, you can be positive and also be afraid. That's something that I learned how to balance. It's like, yes, you don't out-rationalize the fear. You don't say, oh, no, nothing bad is going to happen. I mean, I was talking to people about this on the phone. Things were happening that were very scary. But yeah, and David, you look tense. Well, think about it. Yeah, I was tense. I mean, it was very, this is not normal. This, with the level of speed of wind and what was going on, it was very intense. And I've never been through anything like it before in my life. Some other people are saying, oh, that kind of thing happens all the time in New Jersey. Well, it just was intense. And Sunny Sky says, for those who are making fun of David, would you make fun of someone in a hurricane? Come on, people, be nice. You're absolutely right. Thank you very much. So, anyway, during the time that this was all going on, I was feeling fear, of course. I mean, you can imagine. This was super intense, and I hope it doesn't keep on being a problem. I hope we don't lose our power this week, but we might. And I'm now much more equipped on how to handle this. I'm going to go out on tomorrow and get more emergency food supplies. I have a better idea of, things that don't perish. Let's have a new subject. Yes, we're getting there. Okay, everything is going to be very, very okay, says Mira Patel. Now you know why I'm a prepper, says Scarlet Fire. That's right. Sorry, David, you belong in the city. Yep, it was a good thing. So anyway, I'm not perpetuating negativity. I'm focusing on how I got through crisis, because crisis will happen. And you focus on the positive during that crisis. It made a huge difference. I'm alive. I'm here to tell the tale, and I'm happy that I got through it. No shame in experiencing fear in the process. So as all this was happening in my life, there was crazy things going on in the world. The first of which was, how many times in the past have I talked about the thorium reactor? That there was a page out of the World Book Encyclopedia in 1956 in the T edition, and that these various intelligence people went to all the libraries around America, and their job was to rip out that page, because thorium can be a useful fuel to make a reaction that creates heat, and you don't have any negative radioactivity. It's a lot less radioactive. Sure enough, China is now openly doing this forbidden technology of the thorium reactor. I couldn't believe it, because I've been talking about this for years now. This was last Sunday, and we were already again going through wind. I mean, that day it wasn't too bad, but I wasn't on the air because I had been going through wind already. China successfully operates the world's first thorium molten salt reactor. The Chinese are moving very, very fast, keen to show the world that their program is unstoppable. So there you go, right off the bat, as this was all happening, it's like, wow, that validates something that I've been telling you, that the thorium reactor is a real thing, validates our inside intel. They're actually using it now. So that was very, very cool. Yes, there is a Casey connection, reincarnation connection. That's going on in the comments. David, the live has started going back to the beginning of the show twice. I'm not sure why that would be happening. But anyway, sorry if you're getting any glitches. We're still holding true, 2,700 viewers, and I'm really happy you guys are here. So for 1 hour in, that's still a very darn good turnout, despite the fact that a lot of people weren't getting notification or anything. That's awesome. Are AI centers using thorium reactors for massive power consumption? Well, they should. I mean, that'd be a great idea. That's something that you could really benefit from. If you used those thorium reactors, you'd be doing very well. Let's just put it that way. All right. Thinking positively, David, you won't be in Colorado another winter. Yeah, if there's anything I can possibly do to not have to live in this house next winter, it's going to happen. Believe me, this is very intense. So then on Wednesday and Thursday, we had what looks like the beginning of something very scary. And so again, it's like, it's not just my own personal life where I got to focus on the positive. We're all being faced with similar challenges at the same time. A World War III type of standoff with Japan and the United States on one side, China and Russia on the other. And I'm sure you guys have been paying attention to this, but yeah, this was something that, I don't think it's going to turn into anything, and at the same time, it's something that we're all being faced with, so let's just talk about it a little bit. It was right in the middle of my own near-death experience as I was having it. And I couldn't even hardly pay attention to this, but I was checking the news because I was still online as I was going through all this, thanks to my, prepper stuff. So Japan, South Korea scrambling their jets after Russian-Chinese bomber flight acts of intimidation. Tokyo condemns the expansion and intensification of military activities around Japan. That was on Wednesday, 2:55 p.m. that came out. Then the next day, Thursday, 10 a.m., U.S. answers China by sending a pair of nuclear-capable bombers and other jets as well over the Sea of Japan. And this was considered a serious escalation. So, wow, it was really starting to ramp up here. And so, Love for Life says, David, thank God for you. I was sent your 5-hour video by a Swiss brother. It changed me. Thank you. You have no idea how much your sharing has helped us in the wings. So yeah, it's all good stuff. And, this definitely is something to keep your eye on, though. I mean, we don't want it to go any different bad directions. So here's what it actually says, folks, just so that you're up on the news. On Wednesday, we detailed that Japanese and South Korean fighter jets quickly answered a joint Russian-Chinese long-range bomber flight over the Western Pacific. Chinese J-16 fighter jets, 2 Russian Su-30 fighters, and an A-50 early warning aircraft were part of the provocative flight that also passed right near South Korea. Russia's defense ministry had confirmed its Tu-95MS strategic bombers and China's H-9 strategic bombers conducted an 8-hour flight over the Sea of Japan, the East China Sea, and the Western Pacific, but at no time was any country's airspace violated. Well, still, it was seen as being very provocative here. And Scarlet Fire says USA are the 2 last big countries not controlled by you-know-who. And the 2025 solstice, I don't know anything about a particular Casey 2025 prophecy, but definitely we had the Archangel Michael stuff highlighting this year, and this year has been very intense indeed. I love you guys. I'm sorry if I had to focus on my negativity there, but it felt good to share that with you. It felt good to get it out. And again, please keep the donations coming. We really need that help. Those winds in the same area fell a tree on top of my Toyota Tacoma, no joke. Co-create vitality. I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm glad I had my car in the garage because, yeah, trees came down in my storm too. 2 different trees came down into my driveway. So I'm having to have those cleared this coming week. One of them actually damaged the railing on the fence around my property. So it's been very, very intense. Anyway, nobody's airspace was violated. That's what they're trying to say. Washington quickly injected itself into the ratcheting situation, coming amid a diplomatic and economic standoff between Japan and China by sending U.S. nuclear-capable bombers on patrol over the Sea of Japan. Whoa. Now, wait a minute. It's bad enough, but then Russia's getting involved, too? Japan's government confirmed its fighter planes joined the U.S. bomber patrol, which was clearly a show of force signaling China and Russia. Apparently, they were both involved in it. Well, this is extremely scary stuff. I mean, again, I don't want to push the fear, but let's not ignore it either. Let's process what's being put in front of us. Echo 2000 donated, said, make a Christmas music album while you're snowed in. Yeah, it's one thing to be snowed in. If it was just snow, but when it's high wind and then there's no power, you're not going to be doing much of anything. And I certainly wouldn't have enough energy to run the rig. But yeah, if it was just snow, that would be a different sound. There's a cracking sound coming through. I don't know, is anybody else getting a cracking sound? I'm not. Nobody else is saying that. Kayla Rosen, your talk is exactly what I needed today. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, this is real life, man. Art imitates life, right? So my art is imitating what actually happened to me. Nope, no cracks are present, so that's probably just your own computer. This is not a physical war. You're absolutely right. I don't know. Somebody else is saying they hear crackling, but everybody else says clear on my end. I'm not hearing it. I'm not hearing it. When you have an audience, it's okay to share personal day-to-day life issues. You still bring what we're tuning in for. From fellow Coloradian. No cracks. Somebody, Dr. Phil, says a subtle, sporadic cracking. No. Okay, well, a couple people are hearing it, but mostly not. So, okay, no crackling. I don't know. I mean, there's always strange things that happen in the live streaming process. Almost everybody says it sounds good. There's no sounds of anything bad. I will try to make sure that I don't move in any funny way that might be causing it. David, today you are intense and on it. Mira Patel keeps saying that, but sorry, Mira. Sorry if you don't like it, but, just trying to get through this. Trying to talk about what's really going on. So again, they sent their nuclear-capable, clearly a show of force. I guess I had 2 iterations of that one. Karen Merritt said, David, you don't need to apologize. You're the only truth I trust these days. Thank you for what you're doing, and this is the closest to reality of what I dream about. Yeah, Midnight Mark, thank you. Anyway, we confirmed that the strong resolve of Japan and the United States not to allow any unilateral change of the status quo by force, as well as the readiness of our self-defense forces and the U.S. military, said Japan's defense ministry in a statement. The fresh exercise with the U.S. Air Force was conducted in an increasingly severe security environment surrounding our country, it said. The flight included a pair of U.S. B-52 bombers, escorted by Japanese F-35 stealth fighters and 3 F-15 jets. Wow. Beijing presented the prior longer flight as routine in accord with international law. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Jiao Jiakun responded dismissively, saying, the Japanese side has no need to make a fuss about nothing or to take this personally. Well, obviously, people were freaked out about it, and it was a big deal. So thank you for moderating that one. We have great moderators here. No cracking sounds. Sound is great. Turn your house into a retreat center for people who believe in you and in your mission. Well, maybe someday we will do that, if I can still hold on to the place. And we should. Have some respect, people. This is David Wilcock here, says Intent Recordings. If he wants to talk about his frickin' lunch, believe me, you're going to learn something. Yeah, I mean, this is the real life of what I've been through. This is the real life of what you might go through at some point. And, you know, maybe some of the things that you've heard from me will help you. You know, if you think about what you can do and you think about the options that you have. Anyway, I just don't want to see World War III happen. I don't think it will. But I also want to acknowledge something that a lot of people are probably going to ignore. It showed up on Insider Paper as well. Show of force after Chinese and Russian military drills in the skies and seas around Japan and South Korea. So this was very intense for everybody. And then at the same time that this was going on, right around that same time, starting on Monday that they did that provocative flight, there was a tsunami that they expected might hit from major earthquakes. And we know that there could be, you know, various types of ways in which these could be induced. So the initial quake actually hit on Monday. They had another quake on Friday with this weird standoff in the middle. So what's going on here? Is somebody messing around with technology? They might be. And again, 6.9 magnitude tremor prompted evacuations along the Pacific coast. And that's from UK Independent. So this is very strangely timed with the provocations. So again, that's one of the things that everybody's focused on. That's, you know, why it's so important that we try to be positive. And, you know, thank you. Talk about whatever you want. So, and I like to do current events. I think current events, giving a spiritual perspective on things. Here's another one. The economy in this very perilous state right now. And I'm feeling it too. That's why I really want to thank you guys for giving the donations. And let's hope that Stavati can have a breakthrough here. We're working on it. We're getting very close. U.S. businesses going bankrupt at an absolutely blistering pace, society changing at a pace that is difficult to comprehend. Yep, that's part of what we're dealing with. So remember, somebody says solar lights from the outside. Yeah, that's right. If you open up the drapes on your house when the sun is out, then that will warm the house in ways you can't even imagine. Sorry, David, I don't mean any negative intention, says Mira. No, I get it. And, you know, I'm just showing you. Right, MME Studio says, David, your testimony helps others understand you're not alone. That's absolutely right. And with you guys donating, and, you know, we need some more donations, though. We're still underneath our goal. If we want to get up to at least 2,000, we're at 1,100 right now. So if you want to think about that, if there's a way you could help us out, either here or, you know, we have the links that Sunny Skies likes to put up from time to time. That would help, too. Either way. But thank you very much. And those who've already donated, I'm very, very grateful for that. And it keeps us on the air. It keeps us going. It's been really great that you guys are doing this for us. Woo! North Carolina feels like it's 13 degrees Fahrenheit from the wind. That's incredible. So yeah, this is something that we're all facing as well. The economic changes. It's very intense. More important than ever to stay positive. More important than ever to actualize that force of the universe that keeps you safe, keeps you keeps you away from harm. 2,800. We're almost up to 3,000 concurrent viewers. Let's hope we can get to 3,000. That would be awesome. And Vakapalo, thank you for posting that link. Please go ahead and use that if you guys want to. 8 Infinite Freedom donated $20. Woo, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you very much, 8 Infinite Freedom. It really does help us. It is the time of purification, written about in cultures worldwide. If you think you won't be tested, you are wrong. Learn from what David is telling you. I would absolutely agree. Don't ever take it for granted that nothing's going to happen and you'll be fine, no big deal. I mean, these things do take place and they're very intense when they happen. So yes, that's one of the things we're all facing. And then another thing that just happened this past week, probably more of a positive, the social media ban for everybody under 14. Law stipulates that companies must take reasonable steps to prevent children from accessing accounts advised using multiple age assurance technologies, including government ID, face or voice recognition. In anticipation of the rule coming into effect, Meta, which owns Instagram, Facebook, and Threads, began removing Australian children from under 16 from its platforms the past week. Wow. It says it right here. 5 million children aged under 16 in Australia, 1 million between the ages of 10 and 15, according to their statistics. Well, the vast majority of children affected by the ban are no doubt fast asleep. We're on hand to bring you reactions from both within and outside Australia. Okay. So I actually look at this as a positive. You know, why do you want to have kids being put through these algorithms that are trying to make you addicted to this stuff? It uses the same type of technology they use in slot machines. But, you know, what we have here is somebody says they have no sound, but everybody else has sound. So it looks like everything's fine. You might want to check your own speakers. You might want to reload the browser if something's going on for your sound. Just try to, you know, click out of it and then log back in again. SC400 Pilot says, take every moment as a blessing. Every second counts. Never take anything for granted. Amen. I absolutely agree. So yeah, we're talking about the power of the positive. We're talking about how positive things are happening. This to me is actually like a government doing something good. And isn't that nice when you see something like that? I mean, maybe they'll feel like their freedom has been infringed upon, but wow. It definitely, I think if you can use it responsibly, it's good. But what you don't want to do is have an addictive relationship with those types of media, because that's where you can really get into trouble. And we showed in previous weeks the enormous statistics of how it ties in with depression and with, you know, sadness and all these different things that really are correlated very directly with people overindulging and overusing. And children might not have as much to do. They have more time, there's free time available to them, and they start getting involved in this stuff. It's very intense. Another big piece of news this past week was good old Z saying he doesn't want to give anything up in order to get out of this situation. There it was, reaffirming his refusal he's going to give anything up and trying to rally European support, resisting any pressure for compromise. Well, how are you ever going to get out of this? How are you ever going to end this horrible situation if you're not willing to negotiate? That's the whole point. These areas have already been taken over, so what are you going to do there? You know, you have to give something. So anyway, Jules of Southern Oregon donated and said, David, keep on keeping on. I appreciate you. Cyber Survivor said, David, have you seen the turkeys recently? Well, I'm not feeding the turkeys anymore because I don't want to put out anything that can attract vermin. It's actually made a big difference. It's been a lot better. You know, we've had much less of that type of negative activity of animals around here. Dopamine overload, right, that's part of the problem that we're having. Elisa Taylor, I agree. My daughter lets her 3-year-old grandson use her phone all waking hours despite my sending info on what can happen. So yeah, that's a good point. And anyway, Ross Feinstein, thank you for work on your what you're doing there. It's sad how the system has become this negative by design, says David of Shield. And so anyway, yeah, he refused to do anything, or perhaps he will leave it up to a vote. So obviously he didn't get very far with that. Now he's finally holding a referendum in order to exchange this for peace. So let's hope that we can see some positive motion happen in that area. Another thing that was happening this past week that can freak you out, you know, and again, trying to focus on the positive. Well, we don't ignore the negative. We got to look at the news and take stock of what's going on, saying that his days are numbered and warning that there could soon be action on the ground. That could happen. I mean, you know, and then we saw the seizing of the tanker. That took place on Wednesday, as you can see right here from an AP headline. U.S. seizure of rogue oil tanker off of Venezuela signals a new crackdown on the shadow fleet. Yep, and then it starts to accelerate even more because on Thursday you have P coming in and saying that he may end up defending them and doubling down that he's going to back them. So there again is another possibility of how things could turn into a really weird, bad war situation. It's all this crazy stuff going on at the same time. We have 2 donations that just showed up. Dr. Phil says, you may have seen the leaked 3i Argus Cam space probe photos. It feels like it may shake things up on its closest Earth pass in 5 days. 3i could. I don't know. I haven't seen that particular space probe photo. Paste a link to it if you can find one, and I'll click on it and take a look at it. Blissful Sahara also donated $30. Thank you very, very much for that. Stock up on propane. Yep. Barbecue battery packs. Yeah, we're doing good. We're going to be okay. Deborah is being a little bit harassing there, but you know, I get it. Somebody, look, it's my show, and if I want to talk about things that are hurting me, that's fine. I can do that. Anyway, it's all okay, and the moderators are kind of asleep at the wheel here, but that's all right. They'll be back on the job right away. So it says right here that they confirmed that the president spoke by phone with this guy, NM, on Thursday, reassured him of their support at a moment he's likely facing this change in action at the hands of the U.S. He expressed support of his role in the face of growing external pressure, but they also discussed advancing a strategic partnership and ongoing economic and energy projects. They have long stood by their side throughout years of growing isolation and sanctions. So yeah, this is freakish. They added that he expressed solidarity with their people, reaffirming support for their policy of safeguarding national interests and sovereignty amidst mounting external pressure. So we got the Russia-China thing, now we got this thing, we also got the Ukraine situation. They're all colliding at the same time. It's obviously a very intense time to be alive. But as we focus on the positive, as I'll talk about again with the meditation effect, this is really going to make a difference. It's really going to turn things around. So we're not helpless, we're not powerless, and there's a lot of stuff that we can do. Who's we? I'm talking about we collectively, we the audience, how we all work together, and we're all focused on how we do this stuff together with each other to get where we need to go. And again, thank you guys very much for the donations. We're now up to 1,200. I hope we can keep on going. All right. So on Friday, he again refuses the deal and reignites the threat of World War III. It just never seems to stop. It's been going on like this over and over again. Whatever they try to do, it just gets squashed. Everybody except him loved the plan. I thought we were very close, but okay, here we go. So let's read a little bit of this. First, on Thursday, the chief of NATO said that Europe and the world should prepare for a coming war. Oh my God. Ominously warning it could be on the scale of a war our great-grandparents endured. Oh my goodness, right? We'll review that data in just a second, okay. Soon after this, the president seemed to echo the warning while voicing frustrations that there was no current off-ramp of what was going on right now. That is frustrating. Things like this can end up in third world wars. How about that, huh? How about that? I told the other day, I said, you know, everybody keeps playing games like this, you'll end up in a third world war. We don't want to see that happen, he said. Yeah, we definitely don't. And I don't think it will. But again, these are the things that are assaulting our positivity and our peace of mind right now. And so we don't run away from it. We look at it straight in the face. I'd like to see the killing stop. 25,000 people died last month, mostly soldiers, but also bombs being dropped, other people being involved in those things. I thought we were very close to having a deal. I thought we were very close. In fact, other than this one guy, his people loved the concept. Okay, now let's go back and we'll review the, somebody says he made a very good pun. Let's review this data about NATO, because that's pretty freakish as well. So here we go. So the NATO chief, his name is Mark Rutte, and he gave a major address in Berlin, pleaded with members of the alliance to drastically step up joint defense efforts in order to face down a coming conflict with Russia that could be on the scale of war our grandparents and great-grandparents endured. I mean, this is just a lot of fear, and we don't want that to happen. So there are things we can do. There's stuff that we can do to make this possible, that it's not going to have to happen. In the keynote speech, he chastised alliance partners who don't feel the urgency of the threat. We are their next target. I fear too many are quietly complacent, he said. Oops. Too many don't feel the urgency, and too many believe time is on our side. It is not. The time for action is now. Conflict is at our door. Russia brought war back to Europe, and we must be prepared, he said, warning that there could be another world war. So that is the real news, man. That's actually going on right now. He further asserted that Russia could be ready to use military force against them within 5 years at a moment that the war shows no sign of stopping. Rutte argued that more than just higher spending thresholds should be implemented, that alliance members should shift to a wartime mindset. This is happening right now, right? It's very intense. This is not the time for self-congratulation, he continued. I fear too many are quietly complacent. Too many don't feel the urgency, and too many believe time is on our side. It is not. The time for action is now. Now, here another thing happened just yesterday, that a ship from China was seized with dual-use technology, and it was traveling to this other country, and they revealed it as an effort to disrupt their clandestine military procurement. Wow. I mean, again, just all these weird smoke signals, and then, unfortunately, last night, we had 2 tragic events that took place. That just happened as well, as you can see here. Both of which were, unfortunately, anti-Semitic events. And for me, this is just heartbreaking. This should never be happening, and we can only hope that we'll get a world of peace as time goes on. So in the one about Brown University, it says right here they have a relatively high representation of these types of students compared with the overall I've just got to be careful about too many keywords, sorry. But we're just trying to, so there you go. And then with the other event, it actually was a Hanukkah celebration. Both of these things happen right before Hanukkah, which is like the Jewish Christmas. And in Australia, that was actually a celebration. Thousands of people were there on Bondi Beach for that process. So again, we mourn the loss of these victims, and it's very sad. Don't get sucked into the fear scenario. Yes, I'm just talking about the stuff that's happening that's very interesting. And I wouldn't say this is interesting. It's just a tragedy. But when you look at the surrounding context of everything that's going on, it is so important that we focus on the positive. It is so, because this actually changes reality. It changes reality in a way that is very concrete that we're going to talk about in just a minute here. So again, I am not in the least bit anti-Hebrew, Jewish, Semitic, whatever. In fact, I wish that we could learn to not harm each other. And it's very important. Whoa, oh my gosh. Somebody just donated $500. I think that's the highest donation we've ever had. That is Eugene Gabriel. And he says, hey, David, I hope this helps. I've been watching you since you did your first live class around 2010. I enjoy the things you talk about. Keep up the good work, and God bless you. That is incredible. So thank you, Eugene. That is incredible. Let's see what we're up to now. We're up to 1.7K. That's incredible. Eugene, hell yeah, says Midnight Mark. Incredible. All right. Yeah. I mean, anti-Semitic is not good. And to go after people because of whatever reason, these are innocent people. It's a very immense tragedy. And again, grow up. Don't do stuff like that, and it's just really sad to me that anybody would even consider doing something like this. But this is the world that we're living in. We need more peace. We need more positivity. We need to learn to get along with each other. And yes, again, Eugene Gabriel, thank you so much. That is incredible. You've saved the show today, bringing us up towards our fundraising goal that we have. So thank you very, very much. That is awesome. And I'm deeply appreciative. It's really, really great that you did that. Thank you. All right. So again, I abhor this type of violence, and we don't want to see these things happen, but it's part of our life right now. It's part of the hologram that these things do occur. And again, it's a very tense time. So more than ever, we focus on the power of the positive, and we can actually reduce these types of things. So first, before we talk about all that, we'll a little bit of disclosure news. It's got some spooky elements in it as well. Of course, 3i Atlas, as we've talked about on many occasions now, has been extensively built up that there could be some type of alien invasion that's going to come out of this. That is nothing new. It's a big part of the narrative. We're hearing that there are congressional briefings going on right now from, on the Nordics and the gray species. This is actually one of the things Representative Eric Burleson came out this week revealing what he said David Grush briefed him on with Nordic and gray non-human intelligent species. Well, they are human, but they're just not humans from Earth, I would say. They're human-like, at least. We can at least go that far. All right, so, whoops. Let me fix that. Sorry, everybody. I spilled a little bit of water on my laptop. We got to clean that up mighty quick so it doesn't cause any problems. And it didn't. I was able to get it all off there very quickly. Okay, that's good. So it's quite something to hear a congressional representative talking candidly about such things, especially at a time when the Department of War Pentagon categorically denies extraterrestrials, but note not NHI engagement with this planet. Well, I don't know what the difference is, really. But he also says that the president was briefed. There you go. Time for the president to share what he knows. Mr. President? Wow. So, yes, Nordics and Greys being talked about by people from Congress is the new reality. And that's really something. So, again, thank you, Eugene. Everybody's still really happy about that. What an intense time. Congressional representatives talking about Nordics, talking about Greys. It is very intense, and we're really happy to see disclosure coming to a head, coming to fruition. That is fantastic. So that you can go look that one up on X if you want to. And it's pretty interesting content. The director of Age of Disclosure says that the moment is coming, it's approaching. He's receiving messages from senior senators and people in the administration saying that the doors have been blown open and the government now doesn't have any choice but to walk through them in some regard. It's only a matter of time before we see the president step to the microphone and tell the world we're not alone in the universe, and he doesn't think we're too far off from that point now. That is very exciting. Let's hope that happens. It's going to change everything. And here we have David Grush saying that the president has actually been fully briefed. And this is not new, but they're presenting it like it is. It's still interesting. He was fully briefed on recovered non-human craft, biologics, and evidence of non-human intelligence, or NHI. A decades-long cover-up, threats, secrecy, and now the story is cracking open. If true, he could trigger an instant full disclosure using one single executive order. Imagine the legacy the moment humanity learns it was never alone. Is the world finally on the edge of truth? Repost if you want transparency now. Well, I think everybody does. And, but the question is, do we really want the truth? What are we going to learn? And again, there's a negative component to all this. So that's part of what's going to come out. Then we have Europe themselves actually saying that AI may try to brainwash human beings. So they released a 48-page report about this, and it says, growing integration of robots in society in the future. By 2035, service robots have become a fixture of daily life across Europe, gliding silently through shopping centers, delivering parcels to fifth-floor flats, and cleaning public transit platforms by night. Well, many citizens have grown used to their presence, nodding politely to automated crossing guards, receiving prescriptions from pharmacist bots. Frustration simmers beneath the surface. And what it actually ends up saying is that AI and robots could brainwash human beings and trigger a human-machine war around 2035, leading to human uprising with populist calls that we have to put people first. It says right that at the bottom. Law enforcement now finds itself caught at the intersection of technological adaptation and social tension. Police officers investigating crimes done by robots, drones used as tools for theft. So again, very interesting that they're making that warning. as we've talked about before, the AI problem is no joke. So are they, again, telegraphing stuff that could actually end up happening in the future? It's interesting that they're warning about it like this, isn't it? Very interesting. So I'm thinking if people on earth are saying to God the same thank you as they say to money many times, the world would change to a beautiful place, says Ira Shanti. That's a good point. We would be arrogant to think we are the only living beings, says Maria Sinclair. Why is slavery in the Bible? People can keep a slave for 7 years and then let them go. I think some of it isn't written by God. I don't know. It could be the Old Testament, but, you know. Definitely, society does not support slavery. I don't support slavery. Somebody says they're getting a hissing sound. And somebody just said they donated. Thank you very much. That was Intent Recordings. And we finally got over the 3,000 mark. So thank you guys for showing up. We're above 3,000 now. And that's great. Okay, next. Here we have Luis Elizondo predicting that there could be a UAP incident that could eclipse something that happened before. And that would mean, of course, it would be a very big negative event. So there again is the prognostication, the telegraphing. He says if such an event, if a UAP incident happens, just whatever incident, we would have an event that would eclipse that impact on society. Wow. So you think that's not setting up a stage, setting up a framework, telegraphing something? Yeah. We've heard for a long time that there are various power interests and that when their back is up against the wall, like we heard from Wernher von Braun, his deathbed warning, that this is what they could end up doing. So we definitely want to be aware of this, that, again, they're also trying to take, we don't want to have those sounds. Sorry, Maria, but that's a little bit over the top for us. We don't want to have that out there. Oh, Beverly Adams donated another $50. Thank you very much. That's incredible. And she says, I viewed congressional testimony in the early 90s, high-ranking military officials testifying in the early 70s about UFOs circling and powering down every intercontinental nuclear ballistic missile silo in America, possibly the world, feeling deja vu. Yes, that is one of the things that we've heard. That was in 2011. There was the very important briefings that happened at the National Press Club on that. I'm trying to remember what the guy's name was and can't get it off the top of my head. But I'm glad to be here now. Always look forward to your Sunday broadcast, says Diane Southern. That's right. Very happy to be here. So Kwan Hong Chan, there he is. I'm Kwan Hong, if you remember, different profile name, no dream visions this time. Do you think 3i Atlas signals the second coming of Yeshua Christ or rapture event? Well, it could trigger something like that. If our planet is threatened by some type of man-made thing that's made to look extraterrestrial, but it's actually just secret technology, which they're already admitting they have. If they admit that Roswell happened, they admit there's crash retrievals, congressmen are being briefed on it, all this stuff is coming out now. Do you really think they couldn't build something like this and send it in and scare the crap out of everybody? Yes. When they're on the fence, when they're worried, which is what all this stuff seems to be, the rumblings of war, well, we need to go into World War III, and we know, as I've told you before, that there is a plan, and that plan is very thorough. And the plan, I believe, is still in place. And so everything is actually going to work out, but along the way, you got to not fall for the fear. You got to not fall for the scare events. And you got to be able to focus on the power of the positive. And part of the power of the positive, in my view, is believing and knowing that there is a group that's at work that's going to make this smooth for us, and that there is coordination going on. And so things that we're seeing may not be what we thought they are. There are various schemes going on here for the optics where there's stuff that you don't really know what it is, and you think you know what's going on. You think you understand what you're seeing in the news headlines, but maybe you don't. And they continue to put out communications, by the way. The good guys continue to signal to us what they're really up to and what they're working on. And they continue to give out these types of communications, as we've talked about, right? So that has not changed. That is still very much a part of our reality. And so, yeah, when I see this right here, an event that will eclipse that level of impact on society, if any UAP incident happens, well, where did he get that from? Why is he saying that? Did somebody tell him to say that, and what's really behind it. These are important questions that we want the answers to, and we're going to get the answers. This is all very interesting. Oh, okay. Yeshua has returned, donated, and he says, what is your opinion of Abdullah Hashem, who claims to be Enoch's reincarnation and the Mahdi? Well, we could use a Messiah right about now. I hope that there would be one, but I don't know who it is, and I don't know if that's ever going to happen. The Messiah is supposedly going to be recognized by all. That was one of the things I was talking to Jude about, but anyway, David, an observer recently captured through his telescope 3i Atlas looking like spinning wheels of light. I did see that one. Could it perhaps be an Ophanim as described in Ezekiel? Now, again, I think that 3i Atlas is man-made, and I think that it's a distraction, and I think that they're going to use it when they need to as this whole thing, closes in, and all of these things that we're seeing right now, all of these distractions and upsets are all part of the war that is on for your mind, and to try to get you to deny the power of positivity. So they really don't like it when you talk about good guy ETs that formed world religions that are not here to hurt us, they're not here to harm us, but that they actually are benevolent and they would want to do something positive. A UAP incident doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be like some type of big disaster, but there could be plans that some would have to make something like that take place. So there you go. Very intense that he would make that prognostication. One of the insiders who's been speaking out is Lukatsky, and now there's demanding, Representative Eric Burlinson is demanding that he testify before Congress. He was the ex-DIA boss of the Pentagon's secret UFO program, telling Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp on their show Weaponized that the U.S. has a real alien craft. They've breached the hull. They've gone inside. No wings, no engine, no propulsion, we understand, just pure otherworldly technology. Burlinson's now pushing hard for transparency after that wild September 2025 hearing. Lukatsky says, subpoena me and I'll clam up under national security. Should he be forced to spill the beans, or is this going to stay classified forever? Vote in your reply, yes or no. So yeah, I mean, there's very interesting and ongoing disclosure momentum, and I think, again, at this point, they want the disclosure, but they only want it to be a certain way. Part of the big game in the universe is that the positive is real, the positive does exist, the positive is powerful, and there's no reason to be afraid of it. There's no reason to run away from where we can all be taken when we see that there's angelic forces. They've made major world religions. I believe the angels of the Bible are real. I believe they are not just like symbolic metaphors, but that they actually did exist. We talked about that last week. These ET contact accounts in the Bible. It's really, really freaking interesting, isn't it? Bonsoir, David. Bonsoir à tous. Bonsoir. Thank you very much. That's Disremi Fontaine. So there he is. And then we had Elon Musk come out and say that in his view that there's no evidence that extraterrestrials exist. And this is from Shadow. So he asked his senior members of the SpaceX team about it, all of whom say they have never seen any. Well, there you go. It must be settled. If he doesn't have them on his team, I'm just joking, of course. But, this is pretty interesting, isn't it? Why would he be saying this? I don't know. I mean, I think there's plenty of evidence, and you don't have to look very far to find it. And it's all over his platform, too. So, wow, no evidence. He suggested that many sightings of UFOs could simply be advanced weapons programs being run by the United States government. Well, I wouldn't disagree. I think there are many of those. But, again, to rule everything out and say that there's no extraterrestrials, it's like, somebody, Truth Trafficker, says he knows they exist. Yeah, I would tend to agree with you on that one for sure. Okay, thank you, Midnight Mark. You are on the job, and you do it so fast. I appreciate it. So anyway, 54 seconds on that video. And so here's one of the ones that was the 3i Atlas news this past week. I didn't get the one that you guys were talking about, but I did get this one. that NASA lost contact with their MAVEN space probe as it was following 3I Atlas. Another one of these kind of strange things. Like, why did that happen right then? What's really going on here? According to Dr. Avi Loeb, the object 3I Atlas has been linked to a series of strange incidents, NASA suddenly losing contact with their MAVEN space probe after this object passed Mars. 3I Atlas goes past Mars, all of a sudden the probe shuts down. This coincidence fuels suspicions of a possible cover-up. It's heading toward Earth, and Loeb believes that global observatories like Webb and Hubble will make it nearly impossible for any information to be restricted. So again, is this really a war? Is this really like that NASA is, or are they just, is it like good cop, bad cop? And it's a game. And, NASA is the bad cop and Avi Loeb's the good cop. That could be what it is. Maybe the satellite was shot down, says OK G6U. Debbie says, thank you for all you do, David. I'm a long-term supporter. Thank you and everyone following you. And yes, let's see how we're doing on our donation goal here. We're up to 1.8. Okay, we're almost there. So if you guys keep on donating and a little bit more, we'll be at the goal, what we need to be able to have a really great showing for everybody can make me stay alive. We want to stay alive. It's a very important part of being here, is that I have to make up for lost income in other areas. What about all the old photos people take of paintings with UFOs in them? One in a painting of Mary. This is Kringle Chris. That's a very big part of the story. I absolutely agree. That's a big part of the story. Now, there's plenty of things that I can complain about. I just don't choose to. I did complain about some things, but anyway. NASA is not being transparent. Ross Feinstein says he donated. He said, this is the time of healing. The earth shakes and shifts, as above, so below. Buckle your seatbelts. Enjoy the show. Thank you, Ross. Thank you for the good show of support. I really appreciate that, buddy. And thank you for your moderation. Since 3I Atlas, disclosure hearings has been sidelined. Obviously done for that, says Valentine Puppy. Maven is a psyop, says Rio Dragon. Sunny Skies just posted the donation link again. Thank you for that. Yep, and we're over 3,000 viewers now, so this is a big crowd, man. I mean, standing in front of 3,000 people, speaking in front of that size audience is quite remarkable. I've done it before. And so we love you guys. I love you very much. Thank you for being here. We're trying to focus on the positive, and so disclosure is really happening. And that encourages me greatly. That's why I'm willing to go in there and endure whatever my feed shows me in order to dig these things out and dig out some nuggets for you guys so you can enjoy that. But I don't want to spend a whole lot of time in there because, again, overindulgence in short-form videos definitely can make you depressed. So you want to be careful that you don't overindulge in that. Thank you for what you do, David. Elon is Alec Coulson from Stargate SG-1 Season 8, Episode 8, aired August 2004. Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe there are some similarities there. I'd have to go back and take a look at it for myself. But real or not real, they are disturbing prophecies. Yes, there are things that are disturbing. I mean, the whole idea that the next UAP event could be similar to what happened in 2001, like, whoa, really? But yeah, love you too, David. Thank you, Valentine Puppy. Rich 9i donated 20 pounds and says, thanks, David. Keep up the great work. Trent Malik was the donation of $7.77. We appreciate that. And Anita Tompas donated $20. So thank you guys very, very much. And I really appreciate everything that you're doing. And, we can proudly defy any trolls that say that I should not be able to earn income. It's good to earn income. And we're still 3,000 views here. This is awesome. 3,000 live viewers. He also weighs in on the debate over UAPs, questioning Elon's rejection of alien evidence despite recent congressional reports from U.S. intelligence officials noting unexplained objects in the sky. Yeah, it's weird that he would say there's no evidence while actual briefings of Congress are taking place, right? It's like, wonder what's really going on there. I don't really know. Vega says it's a good show. Thank you very much for the compliment on that one. And stop the small talk. Okay, somebody doesn't like small talk. Well, I think we're just talking about the news. I mean, current events is what's happening to us as part of the real thing. So this is a big one, folks. I mean, this is probably one of the biggest pieces of news this week. That Representative Tim Burchett is getting his own 15-minute meeting with 47 for the purpose of disclosure. That is super exciting to me. and he dropped a UFO bomb on the Weaponized podcast. He is locked into a 15-minute sit-down with the president. Again, I have to be careful about all the, you get it, certain keywords. Spilling the truth about alien technology, underwater bases, and government cover-ups. Football field-sized crafts zipping 200 miles per hour underneath the ocean. Non-human intel confirmed by Navy brass. This could be the spark for full disclosure. Let's talk about that underwater base thing a little bit, too. Ross Coulthart has talked about this, and Burchett has talked about this, that there are ancient sites underneath the ocean on the seafloor bed that have pyramids, or I guess there's submerged architecture that looks like Atlantean architecture. And you go down there, and there are active UFO activities going on around these areas. Well, yeah,